welcome to today's live IELTS class. My name is Adrian and I'm streaming to you live from Hungary here in the heart of Europe. I hope everybody has had a great week and is looking forward to a fantastic, productive, and relaxing weekend. In this class, we are looking at IELTS reading strategies for how to get high scores. This is for the academic version of the exam. However, for the general version, reading section 3 is quite similar to that of the academic passages. This is a members chat only class, and we have Alexandra and Rodrigo joining in. Hi, Alexandra. Hi, Rodrigo. Of course, everybody is welcome to view, and you will have an all chat class in 90 minutes that will focus on the parts 3 and 4 of the listening section. So make sure you're present for that. Hi for Dobbs. Again, students, these materials, lessons, strategies, they come from our websites, aehelp.com for the academic version of the exam. Check us out there. And for the general modules, check us out at gieltshelp.com. While we wait for a few more of our members to join in, I'll give you just a quick peek at those. This is the academic version of our exam or of our website here at aehelp.com. You can click that big red button to join there. You do have audio tracks for the reading to help you learn in the website also. And this is the general version of our website here with the green background. Click that big red button. You can use the websites on your phone, tablet, computer. They are responsive, but just to make life even simpler for you, we have created some nice applications for your mobile phones or your tablets. So from Android and Apple app stores, you can download our apps, Academic IELTS Help, and General IELTS Help. Hi, Amira. Nice to see you in class. I got your emails and responded to them. I saw your most recent one. I haven't responded to that, but I will respond to that, Amira. So hang tight. I'll answer your question later today in a few hours. And for everybody else, if you have inquiries, you can always send me an email, adrian@aehelp.com. You can buy our books on Amazon. Search for AE Helps Academic IELTS and GE Helps General IELTS if you want the exam books in paperback electronic versions. Again, reading followed by listening today. Tomorrow, speaking part 2 and 3. All right, so let's take a look at our reading passage for today. So here we have reading passage 2 coming out of our exam book 2, test number 4. Why do some people have red hair? That's the title. Okay. Tip number 1, students, always read the title when you are confronted by a passage and think critically about the title. The title is basically the shortest summary possible of the contents in the passage. So what you need to do is you need to read the title and then think critically about it. And in this case, we have a nice title because the title itself is a question. So tip 1, always read the title and search your memory banks to gather as much information as possible, predicting the contents of the passage. Okay, so here the passage title is why do some people have red hair? So when you think critically about this, so what is red hair? Okay. It is an orange-like color of the hair which is rare compared to other hair colors. All right, so I gave you the first one. The next question is, why do people have red hair? Okay, and what's your answer to this? So Alex, Rodrigo, Firdavs, Amira, Awaz, why do you think some people have red hair? What is the reason for that? Okay, it's a good question. And again, the IELTS often will have topics about biology, animals, people. So it's a good idea to do this kind of practice. It will help your comprehension, fluency, vocabulary for the exam. So I have brown hair myself, but some people do have red hair. Why is that? Rodrigo says because they want to be stylish. Rodrigo, no, I mean like genetically, right? Like Amira says, it's genetics, okay? So it's not colored, but you're born with red hair. By the way, red hair people are often called carrot top in English, carrot top. Okay, so Amira says because of genetics. Okay. Alexander says there's some kind of a rare pigment produced. Okay. Some kind of rare pigment. Okay, good. Pigment, if that's a new word for some of you, those are the molecules or elements that give color. Okay, that's a pigment. It's a nice use of vocabulary, Alexander. Okay, Firdavs says because they live in areas where there's less sunshine, right? So Firdavs, you're actually taking it one step further, which is the next question here. And you're on the right track, Firdavs, and that's what good critical thinking is all about, is you ask a follow-up question, right? So follow-up question, why would some people have genetics that produce red hair? So Firdavs says, Amira says, okay, it's the environment, right? Yeah, so genetics is the result of what? What is genetics the result of? So modern day genetics for animals, people is a result of what? Samiksha says it's chromosomal abnormalities, kind of, yeah. So Amira says they adapt to their environment. Right, so for some reason, and Firdavs says their environment has less sunshine, right? So that would be the next follow-up. What environment? Okay, and Firdavs says environment with less sunshine. All right, so that's of course if you know that much about it, but what's important here, students, is the logic, right? So you ask the question, why do people have red hair? And you realize, oh, okay, it's probably because of their genetics, so they inherit it from their parents, their grandparents. Why would some people have genetics to produce red hair? Well, it's probably because they've been adapting to their surroundings, right? And the word that I was hoping somebody would throw out for me is the word evolution, right? Okay. Now, there's no denying evolution. We can see it in real time with insects and other small animals that reproduce quickly, or even bacteria. So follow-up question is, what environment, right? So what kind of environment do people live with red hair? So what nationality or what groups of people have red hair? What do you think? Rodrigo? Preeti? What nationality of people do you most commonly see with red hair? Is it people from Nicaragua, from China, from the US? So Firdavs says Scots. You see Scottish people with red hair. Scottish, sure. Ferdov says some English people, yeah? There's others, not just English. Rodrigo says, just generally speaking, northern people. So people living in the north, yeah. All right, good. So that's enough. That's good predicting. Again, this is happening fast, students, in your brain. Now you look at the questions, okay? So after you read the title, you predict, then you take a peek at the questions, see what's going on there. So here we have some fill in the blanks. And it says, choose no more than 2 words from the passage. So the words should be the same words that you see in the passage for each answer. This question, you should review it before you read the passage because all of this information, all of this content is somewhere in the passage, right? So let's read it together. Viewers, members, this is a reading class, so read with me. Please don't just listen to me read, but read with me. And if possible, please read aloud, okay? So aloud reading is great practice. Alexander's asking, when we say red, do we mean ginger or red like really red? No, we mean like ginger, Alexander. Red hair, we mean like kind of that orangey color. Okay? All right, here we go. Let's read this together. Repeat and read after me. Red hair is common in countries from Western Europe. A gene is one which can only be transmitted from generation to generation if both parents possess it. Evolution and are both causes of the origin of red hair. In addition to red hair, the MC1R gene causes many to occur on the skin. Okay, and then here we have a yes, no, not given question. We have 4 of them. Should I read the yes, no, not given question, members? Yeah. So Ivan says Caucasian origin, Russian, right? Ivan, that was a good addition there. People from Ireland, people from US, Canada often have that as well. Yeah. Hi, Roshni. So should we read this yes, no, not given? Roshni says later. That's a good answer. Yeah, so not right now. Absolutely. There's false and not given information here, so this will just confuse us, right? So we don't read that. And then we have a complete the summary using the list of words. So here we have a summary. Again, it's like the fill in the blanks. We can read this, review it before we read because all of this information is somewhere in the passage. Redhead misconceptions. Okay, if you don't know that word yet, that's okay. Redheads have suffered from a number of negative stereotypes throughout their history. Notable in some cultures, they were thought to lack a. Today, conversely, they are thought to be enjoyable and something people. The perception that redheads are dying out is entirely because the MC1R gene is recessive and can miss. Redheadedness has been around for thousands of years, and though the something of redheads in the world may decrease, they are here to stay. All right, good. So we read that. Now we go back and we read the passage. Okay, so let's read this together. Again, for those of our members who have access to our premium package, you can find the audio for this reading in your premium course, and I highly recommend using the audio for some audio reading together to improve your fluency, pronunciation, vocabulary, okay? You'll find that in the audio CDs section in your premium package course. Right now, I'm going to be your voice. Read with me, okay? Read with me. So here we go from the top with the introductory paragraph. Red hair is an exceedingly rare trait, especially in areas of the world such as Asia, Africa, and South America. In Western Europe, however, red hair is relatively common. In some countries, such as Scotland, red hair is more common than blonde hair. Additionally, countries with historical immigration from Western Europe, such as the United States and Canada, also show high incidences of red hair. Red hair has been around for thousands of years, if not far longer. There are ancient Greek accounts of redheads and even ancient Egyptian ones. The story of why people have red hair is interesting and has to do with genetics, evolution, and geography. All right. Any new words in that paragraph, students? Any new words that you're not familiar with? Or is that clear? If there are some new words or new vocabulary that you want me to explain, let me know. Otherwise, we will continue reading. Thank you, Firdavs, for answering my question. Okay, now importantly, before we go on, Rodrigo says the word trait. Okay, let's take that word then. This is an exercise that you should do when you're practicing at home. So, rare trait. Okay, trait. So let's take the word trait. All right, Rodrigo, sure. We'll take the word trait real quickly here, and I'll show you what you need to do. So, Rodrigo, when you're reading a passage like this, and of course this is for everyone, when you see a new piece of vocabulary, underline it. Then in your vocabulary book, so you should do this, read the paragraph and then do this after. So, okay, so you write the word trait. You realize that it's a noun. Okay, then you give the definition. It means characteristic. Okay, so it means it's something that is a part of you. Okay, it's your characteristic. And then you write an example sentence using the word trait. And let's see if some of our members know what has to be included in your example sentence. And this is very important, Rodrigo. You always want to write an example sentence using the new vocabulary. Never just write it down and then go, okay, I'll remember to review it later. No, you won't. You'll forget it. So, example sentence. And the example sentence, and Rodrigo, maybe this is why you didn't remember it. Your example sentence should have this. What should it have? Okay, what should the example sentence have? Does anybody remember? Awaz says it should have some kind of context. Okay, I'll tell you what it should have. It should be complex. It should be personal. And yeah, complex, personal. There's one more that I'll remember here in a second. Oh yeah, interesting. Okay. So whenever you write an example sentence, to remember vocabulary that you hear in the listening section or read in the reading section, make sure that it's complex, it's personal, and it's interesting. What do I mean? Something like this. All right. Here we go. My worst trait is my nose because I feel it is so big that it gets in the way when I walk through a door. Okay. And there can be physical and personality traits. All right. And I highly suggest, whenever possible, to use different colors for the new words that you're learning. All right. Thank you, Yvonne. So here, notice that the sentence is interesting. It's personal. It's got I in there. It's interesting because I'm talking about my giant nose that gets in the way when I walk through a door. And it's complex. I'm using because, showing cause and effect, and even condition, when. Okay? So this sentence will not only help me to remember new vocabulary from my reading, but also will help me to use that vocabulary when I need to. Okay? So every time you learn new words, make a sentence that's interesting, personal, okay, and complex. All right, it's really, really important, right? And the synonyms are as you learn in the definition. So that's in step number 1 when you write characteristic. If you want to learn more synonyms, look it up in a thesaurus or dictionary. Does that make sense, students? The importance of doing that regularly while you're getting ready for the exam? Is that sensible to you? Okay, hopefully. So here, always pay attention to the thesis in the introduction. So the story of why people have red hair is interesting and has to do with genetics, evolution, and geography. This is the introductory paragraph, so this is your thesis statement. Okay? And the IELTS people are very good at writing accurate thesis statements. So what do you think body paragraph 1 will be about? Okay. So according to this thesis statement, what is body paragraph 1 going to be about? And I'm hoping that many of you right now, or members, are writing the word genetics. Yeah, that's right, Roshni, genetics, okay? Because that's what thesis point number 1 is. So what do you think body paragraph 2 or 3 might be about? Or 2 and 3 maybe, or just 2? Evolution, right? And what will the body paragraphs after that one be about? Geography, okay? Using the thesis statement to help your mind organize the content of the reading is super useful. And it's useful when you're searching for some answers as well. Okay? And I can see that you're getting that because that's what a thesis statement is about. It shows the argument, the voice, and the structure of the essay. So this is an essential sentence to help you in your reading, okay? Keep that in mind, all right? Okay, let's keep going. Let's read these paragraphs and answer some questions. Here we go. Again, let's read together. The gene for red hair is what is known as a recessive gene, which means that the gene can only be passed down to the next generation if both parents possess the gene, and even then the probability is only 25%. But it is important to note that not only redheads carry the gene for redheadedness. Rather, in some countries, up to 40% of the population carries the gene. This accounts for the birth of a redhead child to non-redheaded parents. The parents may not be redheaded themselves, but they carry the gene, and if their ancestry was to be analyzed, there would surely be redheads up and down their family tree. Okay, so interesting, visualizing a little bit about genetics. It's a recessive gene. Bonus question. What's the opposite of a recessive gene? So if the recessive gene is the weaker type of gene where both parents have to have it in order for the child to maybe have it, what is the counterpart of a recessive gene where one parent is enough to have it and there's a good chance that the child will have it? Awaz says it's a progressive gene. That's not what I learned in school, but I have heard it before. There's another way we hear it more commonly, Awaz, than progressive gene. Recessive, and Ferdov says powerful gene. Not quite, okay? Not quite, but I like your imagination, Ferdovs. That's right, Charlize, and it's called a dominant gene. Dominant gene. So the opposite of the recessive gene is the dominant. And the word dominant or dominate means to show power over another. Okay? So to show power over another. All right. It's just a little bit of added bonus information. When you do these kinds of exercises like recessive gene, and then you take a moment to think about, okay, what's the opposite? If I don't know, I'll check it on Google. Oh yeah, it's a dominant gene. This helps your active reading. Okay, so always read actively. Be interested in what you're reading. Find extra information when you're practicing at home. Let's keep going, okay? Read with me. Let's read together aloud. The specific gene for red hair is called the melanocortin-1 receptor, MC1R, and was discovered in 1995 by Professor Jonathan Rees at the University of Edinburgh. This gene is responsible for red hair, along with the other tertiary attributes associated with red hair, pale skin, and myriad freckles, for example. But why did people ever have red hair in the first place? The answer, some scientists think, has to do with evolution and geography. The places where red hair is relatively common, Northern Europe and Western Europe, have lower sunshine levels than other parts of the world. This lack of sunshine resulted in a lack of vitamin D production in its inhabitants. Exposure to the sun being humans' main source of the nutrient, which can result in rickets, a condition which can lead to the deformity of the bones. One of the side effects of the MC1R gene is that redheads more easily absorb vitamin D due to the low amounts of eumelanin in their bodies. On one hand, this results in a particular predisposition to sunburn. However, it also allows redheads to avoid rickets, even when underexposed to the sun. Okay, great. So here we have an interesting paragraph. Definitely some tricky words in here. Here's an important tip, students. When you're reading in the official exam, don't get stuck trying to pronounce new words. Okay, this is a very important tip. So even when you're reading, of course, quietly in your mind. So in the official exam, while reading, do not get stuck trying to pronounce and comprehend difficult words associated with science or names of people. Okay? So an example would be these words here, like melanocortin, okay? Or the other one here was the word eumelanin. Okay? Or another example in this paragraph, Why? So, members, can you tell me why I'm telling you this? So, why not to get stuck reading these words? So, why not stop and try to pronounce this word or read it clearly, even in your brain? Why is that not a good idea? Why should you just kind of ramble through it? So, if I were reading this during the IELTS exam, I would read it as the specific gene for red hair is called the melanocortin receptor and was discovered in 1995 by Professor J.R. at the University of Eden, this gene. So notice that even the name here and the name of the university, I just kind of went through it. So Awaz says it's wasting time. Yep, that's part of it. Okay. So because it wastes time. That's one part of it. Sure. Yeah, and Roshni, very good. Yeah, so Roshni, you've put your finger on it because it disrupts your fluency and comprehension. Okay. And you don't want that. Okay. Now, remember, students, the IELTS exam, especially the academic, it's testing band 8-9 as well. And I promise you that most native speakers, if they were reading this passage in the exam, they don't know these words either. Okay, so they have to understand it from context. So all they know is that this is this gene. Okay, so this is a gene. This is the abbreviation for it. A native speaker probably wouldn't know how to correctly pronounce that either. And they wouldn't even bother. Okay, somebody who's an expert user, they would just go through it. Okay, and Ferdov says lose confidence. And why lose confidence, Ferdovs? Nobody knows that word unless you're a geneticist or you're a biology major, and that's what you do. Okay, so don't get stuck, don't get lost on those words. That's a really important tip. All right, just kind of go through them. It's very clear that those words are scientific words and names. Okay. All right. So let's keep going here with the next paragraph. All we should have understood here, just before I go to the next paragraph, all I should have gotten from this one is that red-headed people have a unique gene that gives them red hair. This gene is recessive. It can jump generations. Okay. This gene makes people burn easier under the sun and absorb vitamin D easier. That's all I should have gotten out of that paragraph. You can still get a band 8, 8.5, no problem if you understand that much. Okay, here we go. Next paragraph. Redheads also have a number of other curious attributes that are associated with the MC1R gene. First, they have a higher tolerance for pain than non-redheads. Studies have shown that redheads require up to 20% more anesthesia for sedation than non-redheads. Second, redheads are more sensitive to cold temperatures. This is especially curious because redheadedness originally developed as an adaptation for cold, sun-poor environments. Evolution is not perfect, and it may be the case that maladaptation to cold temperatures is the price redheads pay for adaptation to low levels of sunlight. Third, redheads bruise more easily than non-redheads. There does not seem to be any evolutionary reason for such a trait, though it certainly does contribute to the negative stereotype of redheads as less physically capable than non-redheads. So a little bit more about the genetics and the traits associated with those genetics. This is not the only negative stereotype that has cursed redheads throughout the centuries. At times in history, redheads have been thought to be witches, evil, unclean, and soulless. Today, these stereotypes have thankfully given way to more cheery stereotypes of redheads as fun and quirky individuals. In recent years, a perception has been created that redheads are dying out and will eventually become extinct as a genetic category. This is patently false. Red hair, as a recessive gene, has the ability to skip generations and return in full force. Red hair has been around for thousands of years, perhaps as many as 100,000 years, and there are no signs of its forthcoming extinction. While redheads may make up a shrinking percentage of the world's population due to higher growth among non-European populations, the redhead gene is here to stay. All right, so that is the passage. Let's answer these questions. Here we go. So here we have to fill in the blank. Okay, number 14, red hair is common in countries with something from Western Europe. Anybody know what the answer would be there that makes sense if we visualize this without going back to the passage? So red hair is common in countries with something from Western Europe. So red hairs are common in Western Europe. Where else are they common? Awaz says North Europe. Red hair is common in countries with North Europe from West Europe. Doesn't make sense grammatically, Awaz, so that's incorrect. Okay. But your thinking is not bad, Awaz. What other countries do we observe a greater population of redheads? Okay. Now, I'll give you another hint. Okay. From, whenever you have the word from, you should be thinking from to. And from to shows movement. Okay, so in countries with something from Western Europe. So here, with good logic, you may be able to figure out that this word has to represent some concept of movement. Okay, so it's not a location, it's not going to be a noun. Yeah, Amira, you're very, very close, okay? So with immigration, where did many people from Western Europe immigrate to? And again, I'm really encouraging your visualization here. So from Western Europe, like from England, Scotland, Ireland, France, where did a lot of Spain, where did a lot of those people immigrate to? Where did they go to in the last few hundred years? Hint, hint, it's where I live. Usually it's my homeland. That's right, Ferdovs, Canada and the USA. So Canada and the USA has a lot of immigration from Western Europe historically, right? Now, let's say that, ooh, Adrian, that was a tough one. I think I would have to go back and search for the answer. All right, so I'll give it to you. You're saying, Adrian, that's a tough one. I don't think I could pull that off in the real exam. I would have to search. So what would you search for? That's right, Rodrigo, USA, Canada, Russian America. Yeah, it's correct. So what would you search for? If you had to search here, what would you search for? Which words would you try to skim read for? What would be the most logical choice? Probably Western Europe, right? So I would search for the word Western Europe, and I would look in the introduction or somewhere in the first, second body paragraph. So let's say I do that, okay? Usually names like Western Europe right, with the capital W's. That's going to be easier to search for. It pops out a little bit better. So if I'm back at the introduction, right? Ooh, there's the word Western Europe. From, ooh, what comes before it? Immigration. Now here's the word historical. Maybe I will add historical immigration. They'll give it for both historical immigration or immigration. You'll get it correct. Okay, so there you go. All right, let's keep going. Again, ideally, members, for those of you who are looking for those really high bands, like 7.5 or more, definitely you should not be searching for all of the answers. Okay, all right. A something gene is one which can only be transmitted from generation to generation if both parents possess it. We talked about this. What's that gene called in biology? That's right, Roshni. It's the recessive gene. Just make sure that you have the correct spelling. If you know the word, you can find the word. Okay, it's recessive. It's a strong S sound, recessive. And it's interesting because this is a C sound, and this kind of sounds like a strong C, but it's two S's. Recessive. Okay? All right. Number 16, evolution and something are both causes of the origin of red hair. What do you think is the answer for number 16? Again, I think this one is fairly simple. You should not be searching for this one because here we even predicted this word at the beginning of the reading. So evolution and Amira, Rodrigo, Ferdov's very good. Yeah, it's geography. Good answer. Okay, geography, for all of our viewers, is the study of the earth, the landscape of the earth. So the terrain of the earth, mountains, rivers, lakes, and so on. That's all geography. North, west, south, east, all a part of geography. Okay. In addition to red hair, the MC1R gene causes many something to occur on the skin. Now, if some of you know this vocabulary, I think you can just say it. If you don't, you'll have to think about it, but you're probably picturing it in your head. So in addition, if you think of Wendy's, any of you seen that burger franchise? It's kind of big, not as big as McDonald's or Burger King, but it's a big franchise. It's not, Roshni, it's not a bruise on the face or on the skin. It's something else, okay? So maybe you've seen some people where they have these little dots. Anybody know what that's called in English? When you have those little, some people like it, some people don't like it. Some people think it's kind of cute. It's not rickets. Rickets is a sickness, Roshni Ferdovs. Rickets is when your bones start to twist and turn and they get all deformed. It's not spots. There's a special word for this. And we get it on our skin as well. They're not pimples, Charlie. That's, again, something else that's caused by a bacteria on the skin. They're not pimples. They look like little birthmarks. That's right, Yvonne. They're freckles. Freckles. Okay? Freckles. Freckles. Okay, it's not sunburn, Amira. It's freckles. Freckles on the skin. All right? So you see this especially with people with red hair. They have lots and lots of freckles. Freckles. Okay? Students, if this is a new word for you, freckles, add it to your vocabulary list and write an interesting, complex sentence that includes the word freckles. Something like, I looked in the mirror yesterday morning and was surprised to see freckles on my face that I never knew existed. Okay? All right. Let's go to the yes, no, not given questions. Otherwise, good job, students. Good job. Okay? Freckles. Freckles. Here we go. 18 to 21. Yes, no, not given. Excess sunshine causes rickets. Is this important? Is the concept of rickets and sunshine, is that important to this passage about redheads? When we just read a passage that said redheadedness is an adaptation to lack of sunshine. So would this be an important piece of information to know that too much or too little sunshine causes rickets? Roshni says, yes, it's important. Therefore, we know that it's given. Now we just need to figure out if it's true or false. So, is that true that too much sunshine causes rickets? Roshni says, no, that's not true. Right, Roshni, because it's the opposite. Too little sunshine, right? So not enough sunshine means not enough vitamin D. Not enough vitamin D means rickets. So the answer is no. I'm not going to search for it, especially knowing that the answer is no. Okay? So one really important tip, students, don't write false, write no, because it's a yes, no, not given. Okay? Number 19, high amounts of eumelanin is known to help absorb vitamin D. Again, is that important? So is it important to know about eumelanin and vitamin D for this passage about redheads, where redheadedness is an adaptation to absorb vitamin D? Okay, Yvonne, I'll go back to it at the end, okay? Once I finish this. I'll keep your question in mind. So Roshni says, yes, it's important. So it should be given, right? So therefore it's given. So now I just need to figure out if it's true or false. High amounts of eumelanin is known to help absorb vitamin D. I don't remember that. So I'm going to look for the word eumelanin, which will be easy because I skipped it. I remember it was difficult for me to pronounce, and I remember that was somewhere near the beginning, right? In the second paragraph, maybe, or third. Okay, so I'm looking for that word eumelanin. Okay, I'm going to take all this out here. Okay, and then I remember there was this melanocortin, so that's what's responsible. And then I remember later, there it is, I skipped the word eumelanin. Okay, so that's my sentence. So I'm going to go back. One of the side effects of the MC1R gene is that redheads more easily absorb vitamin D due to low amounts of eumelanin in their bodies. So more vitamin D because there's less eumelanin in their bodies. Okay. High amounts of eumelanin is known to help absorb vitamin D. Answer? No. No. Okay. So far, that's what we have. Number 20. Redheads have difficulty adapting to their environments. This is present tense. It's not past tense. It's a general statement. Does the author discuss redheads' ability to adapt to their environment directly? Is that important? Okay. No, it's not important. So important for that. It's kind of a strange question to begin with. If you feel that a question is really strange, like this one, redheads have difficulty adapting to their environment, and you're thinking, that's kind of a strange question. Why would an author who's scientific even write something like that? Then you're probably thinking correctly, and it's because it's not given, right? Yeah, it wouldn't be given. So in an academic article, they wouldn't state something so strange, which is obviously not true anyway. Number 21, redheads are less physically capable than non-redheads. Does the author directly say that redheads are not as able to do anything as redheads? Is that important? Again, kind of a strange question, just like this one here. Yeah, it's awkward information, okay? So sometimes students, when you see awkward information like that, the clear answer is that it's not given. So here, the answers are no, no, not given, not given. There's not one yes answer here. And that can happen in IELTS. Careful, students. These yes, no, not given, or true, false, not given, it's possible to have no, no, not given, not given. Okay? And that's why there's no point to read these questions and try to figure them out before the passage. All this would have done for you is just confused you for the passage. Okay? So, no, no, not given, not given. All right. I think, was it Ferdovs that was asking me about freckles, that last one? So how to search for it back here. So the MC1R gene causes many something to occur on the skin. Skin is the word that I would look for. MC1R gene is what I would look for to try to figure out what that is. So I go back, and the MC1R gene pops up a few times here. Okay, so I have to be careful. The first one, or the first time that it pops up is here. Okay, and then it says this gene is responsible with red hair along with other tertiary attributes associated with red hair. Pale skin and myriad freckles, for example. So this is the skin and freckles. Okay, pale skin and myriad freckles. So here, you realize that freckles, it's a difficult question for dogs, but you can figure out that the skin has freckles on it from this. Okay? Does that help? I think it was for dogs that asked me that one. All right, members. We have one more set of questions to go. And unfortunately, I won't have time for it. So here is the summary completion. I'll leave these questions for you. Here are the choices for that, okay? For those of you who have access to our premium package, you can find this passage in test 4, so you can work directly in your PDFs or in the computer-based digital versions of the exams as well. Okay, if you don't have access to those, then just finish that on your own. Send me the answers by email, and I'll give you the answer key. Okay, if you don't have access to the premium package, I think most of you know my email address. It's adrian@aehelp.com. All right, everyone, to all of our viewers, again, remember to join our premium courses at aehelp.com for academic IELTS and gieltshelp.com for general IELTS. I hope everybody found this class useful. Members, nice participation, and I can tell that a lot of you are really starting to figure out how these questions work and what is the logic behind answering quickly and accurately, and that's fantastic. All right, coming up in 30 minutes, listening parts 3 and 4, continuing from yesterday. I hope to see all of you there. Nice to see everyone in class. Bye for now.